Well, welcome back to the Shade Tree Garage. And today I'm going to talk about something near and dear to my heart, the 10 mistakes you can make when you're considering the purchase of a classic car. Now, I know about the mistakes because I've made them all, okay? So I'm just sharing my experience with you. Now, first, if you've ever seen the movie Christine, it's the movie adaptation of Stephen King's novel Christine, same name. And the storyline is that the main character um, is driving with his friend and sees a dilapidated '57 Plymouth Fury in an overgrown lot somewhere, and he immediately falls in love with it. He has to have that car. He has to, and his friend tries to talk him out of it. I mean, this Fury is in really bad shape, and he's like, it's a piece of crap. Don't buy it. Well, of course, Arnie is in love, infatuated. And in fact, Christine, it's more than an infatuation with Christine. In fact, the owner's brother tells him, well, you don't know your friend very well if you think he just likes this car. Christine was different than any car I've purchased. Christine was possessed. Years ago, I had a car, and 3 ex-girlfriends would tell you I was possessed by my desire to fix up the car. So anyway, that's why they're ex-girlfriends. All right, a little advice on buying a car. All right, well, what kind of car do you want to start out with? Most people don't go driving down the street and see, I've got to have that car. Now, most of the time, you're like, I would really, one of these days, I want to buy a 67 through 69 Camaro or an early Mustang, et cetera, et cetera. Most of the time, people know what they're looking for. And you happen to see one in your price range, or you think it is. But anyway, what do you want? What is it you're really interested in? You want you can get older restorations, cars like my '56 Plymouth over here. It had been restored back in the mid '80s. It had what I call a 30-foot paint job. It looked pretty good from 30 feet away, but it needs updates, and that's why I'm working on it now. Do you want an older restoration, or do you want a like a barn find, something that hasn't been touched in decades and has just been parked? Or do you want a really nice looking car that's finished and really doesn't need much work, just needs to be driven and appreciated? In that last case, you will be paying top dollar, and you're aware of that. You're all right. So just think ahead of what you're willing to do. And a lot of that may depend on what you can afford. Now, I'm trying to do the body work and paint myself on my Plymouth because I know that can be expensive. However, the interior, if I make any changes to the interior, I'm going to have to farm that out. So I've already planned that I'll have to pay someone, a professional, to do that work. Or if I have to redo the engine, same there. When you're looking at cars, I would suggest steering clear of anything that says, I don't have a title. I have a bill of sale. If you don't have a title, you don't have clear ownership of a vehicle, at least here in Kentucky. Now, bill of sale might get you by in some other states. It's going to vary from state to state. But I personally steer clear of anything that doesn't have a title. Now, you can apply and have a title assigned to a car. You might check with your state DMV and see how difficult that is before you commit to buying a car without a title. Now, some of the mistakes I made include this one. Take a friend to go look at your car that you want. Take somebody who knows cars or can at least offer a second opinion, an opinion not influenced by your own enchantment with this vehicle you're looking at. And if you're really serious about buying it, I strongly suggest you have a mechanic come and look at the car, if at all possible. And I'm talking a professional mechanic, at the very least somebody who works on cars all the time, and ask them to look it over for any obvious issues. Now, honestly, I would probably miss half of the things a true mechanic would find. I'm just talking leaks and wear that they will see under the car, under the hood that you and I might miss. It may cost you $100 or $150, but it's money well spent if they can go there and give you an honest evaluation of that car. Something else you need to do, don't make this mistake. Don't go look at a car without a magnet or something magnetic, because a magnet will tell you a lot about body filler amounts in a car. Now, where are you going to find Bondo? In the lower fenders, sometimes in the lower doors, the rocker panel, quarter panel. And it doesn't have to be a industrial strength magnet. It can be a one of those advertisements that you stick on your refrigerator, the vinyl advertisements. Now, having body filler in a car is not necessarily a problem, but it can point to rust repairs that were made hastily and not properly done. Body filler itself is not a real bad issue, but if it's used to fix rust and other problems improperly, if it's really thick and they didn't do real body work to try to get the panel straight, that's going to be a problem. All right, take a flashlight. If you can't do it, have your mechanic look under the car. Look at the floor pan. See if there's rust holes in the floor pan or in the floor of your trunk. All right, now when you pop the hood, look for leaks, oil leaks from the valve covers or other parts of the engine, and look underneath the car. And leaks aren't necessarily a stopper. It's just something to be aware of, that if you have constant leaks, there's an issue that needs to be fixed at some time. Well, if you are a serious buyer and you're telling this guy that's selling it that you're a serious buyer, if he won't let you test drive it, walk away quickly. Walk away from it, because I've been had by that kind of seller. All right, now while you're looking around the car, check the alignment of the panels. Now, I will tell you that in the 50s and 60s, and even up into the 70s, U.S. automakers didn't really pay a lot of attention to the gap between, say, your fender and your door, the hood and the fender. And so those gaps could vary anywhere to, from probably 5/8 of an inch down to 1/4 of an inch. And they just, the attention to quality and evenness just wasn't there. So that's, those are features that you find on restorations. People will go to the trouble to adjust the hood, the door, the fenders, to get them to line up well. Okay? So no, it's not a stopper if it doesn't, but the alignment can tell you some things. Has the car been in an accident in the past? The alignment of the panels may reveal past crash damage. When you bring somebody to come look at it, now they'll either be, they can be automotively savvy or not. Be open to their comments on the car. Now, some people like my wife might say this thing is a basket case. Walk away. And another friend of mine might say, this thing has great bones. It has lots of possibility. Well, lots of possibility can also mean lots of money needed to get it out on the road again. So be open to the comments, but to get a better understanding of where you are, and to try to ground yourself in your love of the car in reality. The reality is, it's going to be, if there's major systems that need repair, you're going to have deep pockets. And take this, anything your seller says, with a little grain of salt. Of course, he's trying to paint the most positive picture he can of his vehicle, and that may not be the most accurate picture, because he's probably leaving out some of the other issues. Case in point, my '56 Plymouth back here. I owned it for months before I found out from the previous owner's wife that the gas gauge never read correctly. And that's after I ran out of gas twice and had it towed once. And the gas gauge showed 3/4 of a tank. So that's a mistake. That's something that would have been great to know at the time, but the seller never told me that. And when I think about how much I drove it when I first bought it, it's amazing I didn't run out of gas more frequently. Something else to think about if you're going to buy a classic car is to think about the availability of parts. Now, if you're buying a Tri-5 Chevy or a Camaro or Chevelle or any number of really hot and popular Chevy or Ford muscle cars, you can find replacement parts. You know, you can the floor pans. You can buy trunk floors, quarter panels, inner quarters, rocker panels, all sorts of replacement panels, complete fenders, hood, etc., etc. Interior, complete interior kits. There's so much stuff available for those popular cars. Now, one thing I didn't really think about when I bought my 56 was the availability of reproduction spare parts. Well, there are none, to be quite frank. I can get a replacement gas tank and a sending unit, and and there may be a handful of other parts, but there's nothing available for the 56 Plymouth that like there is for the Tri-5 Chevys. All right, well that's going to do it. Good luck buying your next classic car. And you may have already had several in your lifetime. And I think going forward, if you have, you probably have made some of the same mistakes I've made. And you're also a little wiser for it. Feel free to comment and add your suggestions below. So let's not all make the same mistakes that I did.